Hey guys, welcome to the Talking Shed podcast. I got Cody here with me again today.
Yeah. You don't need any introduction for that voice over there, so y'all know who he is.
You are tuned in to the latest version of the podcast. We haven't done one in a little while, but we have a lot of stuff to update on. I don't even remember what we talked about in the last podcast, but it's been a while. So today, let's just keep you up fresh for today. Today is 6 days from the Louisville Farm Show. When you get into the month of February, you don't know what day it is. You just know how many days it is before the Louisville Farm Show or how many days after.
Yeah.
The show starts a week from yesterday. So we're 6 days out. What the actual date is, I don't know. But apparently there is a date coming up that we should remember.
What's that?
The 14th.
Oh, yeah, Valentine's Day.
Come on. I think it's Monday.
I don't know. Let me look.
Well, anyway, as you can assume, things are hopping over here, especially with getting ready for the Louisville Farm Show. Grandpa hauled down the very first load of equipment on Monday, I think, down there. So it's been busy. We got TVs ready. We got some new displays. Cody's been doing some TikToks about what we got going on. It'll be a great show.
Yeah.
And if it's any reflection of the Fort Wayne Farm Show, it'll be a very good show.
Yes, absolutely. So to clarify what day is Valentine's Day, it is Tuesday, the 14th, the day that the show starts.
No, it starts on Wednesday.
It does start on Wednesday?
I think so.
I don't know.
Does the show start on Tuesday?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Oh,
yes,
yeah. Because I'm going down Tuesday. Okay, that's why it's starting for me on Tuesday.
Be one of the first times Cody shows up early to a show. He's going to be there on Tuesday.
Whatever.
You think it starts on Tuesday. It starts Wednesday. You'll show up with your book and cards and no one to hand it to.
So?
Well,
at least I'll be there and be prepared.
I will not be there Tuesday. I'm going to drive down separate. I have got a new addition to the family. My wife and I had a little girl back on January 24th, Lenna.
Yeah.
So that has changed my farm show plans a little bit.
What'd she weigh?
7 pounds, 3.5 ounces.
How long?
18.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
deal.
a little runt,
Yeah.
especially compared to her three brothers. But she's home and acts a heck of a lot better than her three brothers, I can tell you that. But
well, yeah, she can't talk yet.
well, yeah, she doesn't talk back like they do. But she's keeping mainly my wife, and I look sometimes up at night right now, but that's how it goes. So we're happy for that. But I'll be doing a lot of commuting probably back and forth to the farm show. I'm going to try and stay Thursday night, but that'll probably be it. So I'll head down Wednesday morning early.
Yeah, and so we were trying to talk about the last podcast. I'm trying to remember if we confirmed if I killed another deer or not during muzzleloader.
Yeah, I don't think we ever did because, we did that podcast
on our way back from Fort Wayne Farm Show. And was muzzleloader before or after?
Muzzleloader should have been before.
Maybe we did talk about it. I think we did. Anyway, I got 2 deer on the ground, so I'm happy.
Yep, so that's good.
But we got some other hunting news that we got to talk about here quick, too.
Yeah. Remember, this is not only the Talking Shed podcast, it is also the Ohio Hunting Deer and Coyote hunting podcast now. Cody and I are now highly addicted to coyote hunting.
Yeah.
So, so we'll just share quick things on that because I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
If you hunt or not, I think it's pretty interesting to, we've always hunted during the day, but Cody got a thermal scope for his gun, and now we can see heat at night. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, if you've never looked through a thermal anything in your life, I highly suggest it. It is so interesting. I mean, you can go out to a field, and that's something that we overlook is that almost all wildlife, their daytime is nighttime. When we're doing everything, they're pretty much laid down, And when we're laid down, they're active, which is pretty well common sense. But it's amazing when you get out into the woods how much activity there is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm borrowing a thermal monocular from a family friend, and so I can see thermal through that, and Cody can see it through a scope. So we can see the deer, the raccoons, possums, skunks, fox, anything that you look at, you can see.
And of course, the coyotes.
Right.
So we set out a call, and what we've really been getting them called in on is some distress rabbit calls. And
It's cagey cottontail for you.
There you go.
For you Fox Pro listeners. Cagey cottontail.
yeah.
We set it out, rabbit in distress, and they come running, don't they?
Oh man, you want to talk about an adrenaline rush? I think we got bit by the dog pretty hard on this one. This is a lot of fun.
Bit by the bug.
Yeah.
We hunted a couple times unsuccessfully.
Really only once.
Yeah, and then we went out to a hot spot where we knew there were a bunch of coyotes.
It wasn't necessarily not a success.
Right.
We did catch one critter.
Right, we did. But you go out there and you run the call and you scan with your monocular. I scan with thermal monocular. Cody scans with his gun, and it's pretty dang interesting. That first coyote that came in, I wish I had a radar gun on him when he was coming in. That thing was smoking into that that call, and he got right up to the call and stopped. And ironically enough, we had another guy hunting with us without a monocular. He was just sitting there, and he saw him before anyone.
Yeah,
it was a full moon, you could see, and
he was just kind of scanning with his binos, and the optics at night really pick up any type of light. They're super sensitive to light, so he was able to see really, really well, and he just kind of shouted at us. He goes, hey, right there. And I got on him, and he was, maybe 70?
Maybe.
If that. Maybe 70 yards, and I got the thermal on him, and you can see him, clear as day, and we were lucky enough to get him, and
that thing was huge.
Yeah, he was probably about a 45-pound coyote, I bet.
We didn't officially weigh him, but that was a big male coyote. So that was our first ever experience. That thing came storming in.
Yep.
And wow, unbelievable. An hour later, we were at a different stand and hit the distressed rabbit, and out of this thicket comes another one. It was a young female, and got that done too. So we picked up a double in one night, and for some rookie coyote hunters, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. And that's my first coyote ever, and so I'm gonna get him mounted, and with the mount, I'm gonna have him. So we were in a cornfield, and he was kind of like sneaking up to the call like he was going to attack, and so that's kind of the mount that I've got him in, with some just some standing corn stalks. So it'll be a pretty cool mount. It's a pretty neat experience.
Yeah, if you ever get a chance to go at night, it's just so much different. There's no cars driving down the road. There's no one calling you. It's just peaceful, and there's something unique about hunting the alpha critter in the woods. Coyotes in Ohio, sure, there's some bobcats, but they're the apex predator, and you're out there hunting the alpha. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, for sure.
Pretty fun. So, and then it's also kind of cool because we can put the kids to bed at night and then sneak out, and you don't have to skip work. You miss a little bit of sleep, of course, but
yeah, yep.
That was a blast.
Oh yeah,
we're going to be coyote hunting a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was by far. And when Adam says we got bit by the bug, we got bit by the bug hard.
Yeah, we're all in on coyote hunting now. So we're still rookies though. So we've hunted a lot. Well, probably 4 or 5 times now, and. So yeah, maybe this weekend we'll sneak out and get it done again. But
for sure,
man, is that fun! It just gives you something to look forward to. Deer season's over now here in Ohio, and it's a great way to manage predators. They eat a lot of. There's some turkeys moving in to Mercer County, and you can manage somewhat of your deer herd in a way because they're fawn killers. And
yeah, I mean, I was looking up. There was a thing that on Instagram. I can't remember who posted it.
I saw that, like some Real Tree Outdoors or someone,
Mm-hmm.
how many fawns they can take out in a year.
They say like one coyote can take out like up to 19 fawns per year.
Yeah. And the big thing there is that the coyotes are going to den up soon and have pups. They're mating right now in February. They're going to have a bunch of pups. And, well, the male and female, from what I understand, both kind of care for the pups, I believe. And they have to not only eat for each other, but then if they have half a dozen pups, they got to feed all them things through like June, July.
Yeah.
So they got to catch a lot of critters to keep them pups. Now, sure, the mom's going to nurse them for a while, but that's a lot of mouths to feed.
Mm-hmm.
But
for sure.
That's probably enough on the hunting side.
Yeah.
We need to keep it on the
more on the equipment
side and talk about. But that's what's really new with us. Got a new little girl. Been doing a lot of coyote hunting.
Yep.
On as far as the personal side of things. So yeah. Other than that,
what are we going to dive into today?
Well, I thought we could have a conversation about, we got Louisville Farm Show coming up. Fort Wayne was, 2 weeks ago, a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think we need to have a conversation about if farm shows are really dying.
And
or are they worth going to? Not only for a farmer, but for us as an exhibitor.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Is that the best way to reach the farmer or to sell to them? This week we've been doing a lot of kicking around of what products we're going to put in the booth. Like, we need to bring this, we don't need to bring this, and how do we did a statistic the other day. We had 330 phone calls come into the office in the month of January.
Mm-hmm.
So how did those 300 calls come in?
How did we generate those?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And those calls did not come from Tractor House. Those are YouTube, our website, anything that's got that 953-8500 number.
Yeah.
That is those calls.
Yep.
So how do those calls come in? How do we keep them coming in? And are the farm shows worth it?
Mm-hmm.
We thought we had a phenomenal Fort Wayne Farm Show. And it's so hard to put a bead on your actual, cost versus sales, and because those sales are going to stretch out for so long.
Right. So I think it's just hard to put a number on that in general because, whenever a guy calls in, they don't necessarily tell you, and we try to do a pretty good job of asking where those calls came from. I bet in the month of January, I know we had a Farm World ad out there on planter fertilizer, and I couldn't tell you how many phone calls we got off that. I mean, I bet.
Yeah, and that was going into that 8,500 number.
Mm-hmm.
So that generated a lot of those calls.
Yeah.
But that's, the time of year. But, you look at it, we've already made one trip down to Louisville. Mom and Dad are getting ready to leave, I think, tomorrow. And tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah.
So they're going to go down. They're going to be there for 9 days.
Yep.
In hotels that are far from cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And, then we're going to have probably 4 or 5 sales guys down there all week.
Mm-hmm.
And then the cost of the booth.
Yeah.
But transportation is a huge cost. We're 3.5, 4 hours from Louisville,
roughly,
depending on what you're pulling and stuff and which way you're going. But it's expensive to go to those dang things. And, you just got to wonder, you get down there and, you really hope you run into enough guys. But at Louisville, it really allows us to stretch out. We're going to talk to guys. We're going to hand business cards to guys from Alabama, Kentucky, Georgia,
across the country.
Yeah, Missouri,
Illinois, Iowa,
Wisconsin, you name it. And that allows us to stretch out with our unique products, our wide drop toolbars, our S2S, the triple threats, I think Louisville is a phenomenal show for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas you go to Fort Wayne, most of them guys, they're probably already a current customer.
Right.
They already know probably that we sell that. And we're not really doing a product awareness.
We've definitely came across their radar at least once.
Yeah,
for sure.
If they're in Ohio or Indiana.
Or even Michigan.
Right.
Because a lot of people from Michigan come to that show as well.
Right. And we don't really showcase much for big products at Fort Wayne because our booth space doesn't allow for it.
Correct.
We'll have a little bit larger equipment at the Louisville show. But at Louisville, what's different is you've got the Salford booth. They're going to have the VRT. They're going to have spreaders. They're going to have Valmar seeders. A lot of different things that, can generate sales for us. If someone comes out of our territory into the Salford booth, he's eventually going to get linked up with us.
Yeah.
And so, I would love to sit down with 100 farmers at Louisville and interview them about their tactics of buying equipment. How do they go about it? Do they just get on the Tractor House and start looking and digging, or do they do a Google search, or do they pay attention to all those ads that hit them in the face on social media? You cannot scroll through social media at all without getting slapped in the face with whatever in the world your phone's listening to. It seems, if you allow your cell phone to track a lot of that stuff, you have a conversation about an air compressor with your brother, and pretty soon you're getting ads of air compressors thrown on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. And so are those things actually paying off? We don't do any of those ads because I feel like they're so unloyal ads. Like, if you're trying to throw out 1,000 ads in a month, your percentage rate is so low on retention.
Right.
Like I get Duluth Trading hitting me all the time with like new boots.
Yeah.
It's like I've seen their ads, or those boots, those Brut boots.
Yeah. The Brunt boots.
Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many times I've seen those ads, and I'm sorry, I'm not ready to buy a pair.
No.
I'm not. And if I see that ad 100 more times, I don't think I'm going to buy a pair.
Absolutely.
It just, so I don't know how effective that marketing is.
It kind of just gets repetitive, and it's like, yeah, I've already seen this. And now, granted, there's some stuff on there, like whenever we first talked about getting into the whole Coyote thing, I mean, I was getting ads for, thermal sights and stuff like that to kind of, figure out which one we were kind of after. And I mean, that did help. I mean, don't get me wrong, that did generate a sale for them, but I mean, we were, in a way, I don't think it did, because we talked about what scope you wanted. We did some research on our own. I think more people do their own research rather than letting the robots on social media decide what we're going to buy. Right.
So we don't do any of those mass social media ads. I just don't think it's a legitimate way.
Right.
Not with the products that we sell.
No.
I think a lot of those companies, in a way, are just throwing a flash and hoping to gain sales and pump numbers and stuff. But
for sure.
You got to have a legitimate phone call, a guy call in, and he's got to want it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think he's going to do his own research and dig out and search what he wants. I don't have guys call up and say, hey, I saw an ad for poly twisters and I had never seen them before. What do those things do? It's more like, hey, my neighbor has some.
Yeah.
Or I was at a Beck's agronomy day and saw them. Or I saw a video on YouTube.
And I think we underestimate how much our customers actually do a lot of selling for us as well.
Oh, yeah, word of mouth.
Yes,
is
for
phenomenal.
Sure.
I mean,
that coffee shop talk is what Jeff Worley would say what it is.
Yes, coffee shop talk is big. Salfords are big there. Hey, how many times have you heard my neighbor has one of them?
Yeah.
I get that a lot. Oh, my neighbor's running one of them Salfords, and I'm kind of curious to learn more about that product. And, you know, they're not going to call us on a Salford because they saw that ad on Facebook.
Right, definitely.
You know, they're going to have to get more. And maybe that's just how it is marketing to our, you know, to the customers, you know, farmers in general, and our type of, you know, our lifestyles. We're going to need more than just a flashy ad, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, you know, doing what we do, you know, we try to hit social media quite a bit. You know, Facebook really isn't, you know, Facebook is Facebook. We don't really do much there. I mean, we have a Facebook page, but it's nothing really crazy. I mean, you do the Instagram Reels and I do the TikToks, and then, you know, usually we try to put some stuff on Snapchat that existing customers have us on there, and they see that and they're like, oh man, that's pretty cool. And
Snapchat's a big thing. But it's real life. You know, it's not an ad painting a you know, because you look at every ad, they always paint the rosiest picture you can find. You know, whether it's, I don't know, a weight loss thing or anything, they're always going to sell you the best case scenario.
Right.
Where we're more like, you know, hey, if you want to have a chance of getting better emergence, you need to look at this closing wheel.
Yeah.
You know, we're not, you know, hey, if you want to build a new grain bin, you need to get a closing wheel.
Yeah.
No.
For sure.
I mean, that's not legitimate, but
for sure.
You got to keep it down to earth. But I think when you look at the farm shows, you know, 5 years ago, we went to every one of them that you could think of. We were going to Pennsylvania and the Carolinas and stuff, but we've really reeled them back because I think we changed our way of marketing to more of what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
The podcast, YouTube is a big one. We've talked a lot about that on here, but it'll be interesting to see what happens from the Louisville Farm Show.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, we can sit there and, you know, it is expensive and to get them, you know, get stuff down there and stuff like that. But, you know, we throw these YouTube videos out there, and that generates, you know, whenever we do go to a farm show, they're like, hey, I seen that on YouTube. You know, keep making those videos. You know, how many times did you hear that at Fort Wayne Farm Show?
Oh my gosh,
a bunch. You know, it's just one of those deals to where I think if, you know, we're able to keep pressing that envelope and keep pushing it, you know, I think with the YouTube stuff, and I still think going to those good, true, you know, like Fort Wayne, and then we go down to Louisville, I think those two will always be good shows no matter what, because of the content that we put out there. You know, there are definitely going to be guys down there that have seen us on YouTube, whether it's you know, I sold a gentleman some parallel linkage arms today for his John Deere planter. Well, how he seen that was YouTube. He originally seen the GBGIs, but I kind of told him that those were kind of non-existent right now. Yep. So it's just all via, you know, what they see and what they hear, and they know that they have an issue, and they're like, all right, well, I've seen a couple of different options. Well, whenever they search, they're actually going in and they're searching, they're hunting.
Right. What, like, our perfect customer that's walking around Louisville is a guy who has seen some of our YouTube. Yeah. Seen some things here and there. Wants to improve maybe his planter or his tillage or cover crops. And nitrogen application. And he's walking around Louisville, and all of a sudden he comes across our booth and says, hey, I know them guys. Yeah. And he stumbles in and talks to us, and we connect the dots. Yep. That is the customer that we're looking for at Louisville. Yes. You know, the guy who's already kind of pre-interested, you know. And so I think it is the social media that we're doing that allows the farm shows to close the gap. Because, heck, we have got 1,730 subscribers to our YouTube channel. And I bet you there's a ton of them guys we've never met yet.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And not only that, but we've had, I don't know, 500,000 or creeping up on 1 million views on all of our YouTube videos. So how many of them guys have watched the video, said, man, I'm interested in that, but haven't quite made the call or connected the dots? Whereas when they go to the farm show and they're like, you know what, I saw this thing on YouTube one time and I want to find it. I want to see if it's at this show. They come to our booth and they stumble across our Y-Drop toolbar video playing, and they're like, right there. There it is. You see that? And boom, we connect the dots, we trade business cards, and we set them up with a new Y-Drop toolbar.
Absolutely.
That is the home run that we go to the farm shows for
sure. So I'm just sitting here looking at TikTok here a little bit. I've got 591 followers. With that, I posted a Y-Drop toolbar video here earlier this week, and it's got 5,600 views on it.
Wow.
And so just stuff like that. I've got there's one on there that I posted that we were at Koenig Equipment, and we were testing some brackets going out to a guy out in Illinois, and that one has 14,000 views.
Wow.
So I mean, it definitely gets around. Now granted, I'm sure maybe 50% of those are like legitimate views as far as they seen them and stuff like that. But I mean, as far as likes, I've got over 3,000 likes. On videos that I've done.
Right.
So,
and our Instagram is the same way. We have 1,000 followers on Instagram that see all the stuff we throw out. So what we do is we're trying to keep the social media channels flowing all the time, not really always expecting phone calls or leads to generate from that stuff. It's just when the guy, let's say he scrolls through and sees your video where we're mounting up tank brackets on that 1775, and next year or next week, his neighbor says, man, I need some tank brackets. He says, well, I saw Phoenix. Why don't you call them up? What do you mean? And he says, yeah, I saw them on Instagram. And pretty soon they do some Googling, see some YouTube. And there it is.
It just generates all from there. For sure. And that's where I think, that's where this industry's going. I mean, the generational farmer now is getting into, I don't even remember what the average age of a farmer is anymore, but they've got kids, they've got hired hands, all of this stuff that generates, and it's all through the phone. It's generated so much through technology to where they've seen it somehow. And the best way that I think we've found to do it is through either some type of mobile device.
I mean, I would not want to be a guy going down to Louisville that's just going to have a booth, doesn't really have much for social media, that's going to hang some signage and hope he's going to have a good week.
Exactly. He probably won't.
He's not going to have the greatest week.
No.
You kind of got to build everything up to it. And then, then the customers come in and you connect the dots.
Right.
We're basically just going to be sitting there making connections with farmers. I mean, I ran into a guy there last year from Tennessee, and he was looking for a J&M applicator. Sold it to him right there at the show. He reached out to me 2 weeks ago, says, hey, Adam, I saw where you had a blockage monitor, row by row, liquid, now for my J&M applicator that you sold me. I said, yeah, we do. It's called the Vanguard. Ag Express makes that. And he says, well, why don't you just bring one of them kits down to the farm show? I'll meet you at your booth this year again. You can give it to me. I'll write you a check. There it is. And just like that, versus had we not done the social media, he would just show up at our booth this year. We would chit chat, maybe bring that up, maybe not. I don't know. But it's the social media every day, every week that is setting the surface or laying out the platform for the customer to bring it up and make the sale.
Right. And then like Devin made this absolutely freaking awesome stand for basically that system and the Wilger system to go on the planer brackets, for planer brackets, and this monitoring system for the planer and the applicators. And it is just absolutely dynamite what he did. Devin's playing with metal over there like Play-Doh, and I'm sure you guys have heard us talk about him a little bit here too, but I mean,
he'll be on here someday.
Oh yeah, I mean, you want to talk about something that will generate definitely a conversation starter. That stand will definitely generate a conversation for sure.
Yeah, we'll be hovering around that thing all week. I'm sure.
Yep.
So yeah, that's, our farm show's dead. Yeah, if you're not doing the legwork
right
to lead up to
yeah.
it, absolutely.
Yep.
Like, I would not want to be, like I said, I look at some of these companies, we even represent some of them that don't have much for social media. They're going to have a booth down there, and they're probably going to be kind of like, yeah, it was a decent show.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you got to build it up.
Yeah,
absolutely. All year round.
You do, and that's the thing. You don't hammer it. You just do little bits and pieces, so that way they still have a reason to talk to you too. And because there's nothing better than that one-on-one, face-to-face conversation with a guy on trying to get him talked into something. There will never be anything better than that.
Well, I don't know if talking him into something is the best way to put it. It's more explaining to him how it's going to benefit his operation.
Right.
But
right.
You look at the closing wheels, like you can get, let's be honest, you can get Yetter closing wheels. Well, probably not today because Yetter's low on them and we're sitting on a bunch of them. But there's how many dealers out there.
Right.
But we stock them. And so, you got to look, we're really promoting our unique products, the Y-drop toolbars, the triple threats, the unique products that we stock that sets us apart, that only typically we can provide. Something like the planter tank mount brackets.
Especially with the amount of knowledge that we have with it, to where it makes us pretty dangerous as far as that field.
And that just comes from experience, being out in the field, helping customers solve unique problems. They typically come to us to help solve a unique problem. If a guy needs a new planter, he's just going to go to his local.
Who did the wasn't it an Instagram reel or a TikTok or something like that?
Yeah, that's a funny story. So I was on Instagram and I saw Zoe Kent post a picture and her planter was tore apart in her shop. And Jake sold them a J&M applicator. And I messaged Jake. I said, hey, Jake, you might want to get over there to Kent's. It looks like they got their planter tore apart in their shop. Maybe stop by, see if there's anything they need. He goes, okay, yeah, I'll stop over there. And it was probably 2 days later, Charlie Lane from Amco, they make the ditchers. They're a sister company to Yetter. He's from down in, I think, Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama.
And he sent me a link to this TikTok. And it was Zoe's, I think, hired hand in the shop. And he was doing the TikTok. He said, guys, I was here tearing apart my planter. And I was thinking, man, I need to call Phoenix and order some parts. And he said, I'll be dang. 5 minutes later, Jake from Phoenix, not from State Farm, walked into the shop, and I said, holy cow. And, we just made that connection just through social media. They were an existing customer and everything, but it's amazing how that stuff works. Everything is in live time.
Right.
You can post a Snapchat or an Instagram reel right now and inform thousands of people of whatever you're doing.
Right.
By tonight at midnight. After we do this podcast, we're probably going to go in the shop and do some social media posts on what the guys are working on in the shop. And there's going to be guys across the country that are going to see that and talk to us about it at Louisville.
Absolutely.
So it's just amazing how those things tie together sometimes. And it's amazing.
It's just mind blowing. Like what are the chances of that?
Right.
But
yeah,
that's just the way the world works. We get we get that mind blowing effect all the time. And you're just like, man, I was just thinking about that.
Yep. Yep. Well, if you're always uploading the content to whatever you're uploading to, it's going to stay fresh. And it's like this podcast, we try to keep it, current, and we need to do more of them to do that. But yeah, it's a great way. I listen to podcasts all the time. It's a great way to get a lot of good information.
Yeah.
And we try to keep it informative, easy to listen to, and down to earth. So
for sure.
I don't know. To answer the dilemma, farm shows are dying if you aren't backing them up with
content.
I mean, you have to pre-educate the customer before he gets there.
You've got to beat the bush somehow.
Yeah, I mean, farmers and myself, like at Fort Wayne Farm Show, I was like, I'm going to go walk around Fort Wayne Farm Show. I had 2 or 3 things I wanted to maybe lay my eyes on. And if it wasn't one of those 2 or 3 things that I already had preloaded in my mind, I wasn't going to stop and look at it.
Right.
It's not what I was there for.
Yep.
So you have to kind of preload and pre-educate before the show to get the guys interested. That way when they get there, they know what they want to look for.
Yep.
They know what they want to talk about. And it's a home run.
Yep, absolutely.
So I don't know. I'm looking forward to next week. I'll be honest, probably my favorite parts of next week are going to be seeing Lee.
Yeah.
Seeing Jeff Worley.
Yep, absolutely.
Getting to talk to them guys we only get to see a few times a year. And then, of course, getting to see those few farmers that we run into down there where we only see them for 10 minutes out of a year, and that's our relationship.
Yep.
But we talk, and it's good. So, yeah, I'm excited for next week to enjoy that camaraderie with not only our team, but everyone, all the customers, and hopefully we have a few guys walk up to us and say that they've listened to our podcast.
Hopefully.
So the 2 listeners that we have.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I'm kidding. The podcast is really growing, and we're going to keep it going. I already.
How many listeners have we had so far?
4,000. I shouldn't say 4,000 listeners,
but
total listens to podcasts, total of 4,000.
Yep.
So I've already put bugs in a few ears for podcasts next week. So we do have some pretty big interviews in the pipeline. That'll be big.
Yeah.
I can tell you this: our largest, most popular podcast of last year was with Greg Souter. And there might be a 2.0 coming next week. So
yes, sir.
We'll put that little teaser out there. So that's enough of that. What's been selling lately? We're into February. We always talk about this time of year. We kind of switch to planters. So what you been moving?
Mainly closing wheels, and it's mainly been closing wheels for me.
Row cleaners?
I moved 32 rows of row cleaners to a gentleman out in Illinois here this week.
Yeah, I'd say since Fort Wayne, we've probably moved a couple hundred rows.
Yeah, for sure. Other than that, a couple of I sold
Y-drop toolbars.
Yeah, a couple of Y-drop toolbars. I sold an applicator last week.
J&M.
Yeah, I sold a J&M 13-row applicator, 5016.
Yep. Where's that going?
That is going to Evansville, Indiana.
Yeah.
Stall Farms
Yep.
is where that thing is heading. So, yep. We've done some work in that area. He actually bought Magnums off your dad a long time ago.
So he's switching from anhydrous.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
We see a lot of that.
Yeah. So we're trading in his Dalton 15-row Magnum bar, and he's going to liquid. He has a 60-foot Umberfirth liquid bar right now, and he said that he might be in the market next year for a 60-footer. So we'll see. He said they'll have to match. It will drive him nuts if not. So
yeah,
but.
Well, good, yeah. Y-drop toolbars have been popular. This time of year is a little different on the Salford side. We're moving some stuff, but the lead times make it interesting. Sure, we've got some preloaded Salfords in the pipeline for upfront sales, but
it's mainly fall.
Yeah,
Now. I talked to a gentleman last week, and he was like, "Well, I've got a 30-foot 570 right now. He's looking to go 1200, go to that 5-inch spacing or whatnot." And he goes, "Would I be able to get one for this spring?" And I was like, "No, probably not." And he goes, "Well, that's fine." He goes, "This one does the job right now, but," he goes, "I just eventually would like to go that 5-inch spacing."
Right.
I'm like, okay, so, maybe that sometime this summer I'd be able to get my boots on his farm and talk to him a little bit, get my eyes on that thing, and maybe get him a 1200.
Yeah.
So,
So that, we're creeping in. I typically say March 1's the deadline. We're creeping in on where we're limited to selling, for spring anyways, upfront sales, or limited to selling what we have in hand.
Yes.
So,
on the spreader side, we're good. We're good on the spreader side.
Right.
We've got those suckers in stock, but tillage-wise, we're shy.
Well, we're good on the VRTs.
Yeah.
But like 1200s and 42s and 52s and 22s are pretty light.
Yeah.
So, but that's kind of good because it's because we sold a lot from September to today.
Yeah, we sold a bunch of them.
We had a bunch in the pipeline ready, and those have been retailed. So, now we're looking at May, June, and September basically for delivery dates.
Yep.
You order new sow for today that's not already in the pipeline, you're looking at September.
Yeah, August, September timeframe.
So, it that does change the dynamic a little bit on the Salford stuff. But yeah, planter tank brackets have been popular. Been moving a lot of them.
I think those are starting to die off a little bit. I think guys are still considering it, but it's just kind of all in limbo. They're worried about timelines and
right. That's the thing. That's why I say March 1. You start telling guys March time frame, and it's okay. You say the word April, and
they get shaky.
Yeah. So you're pretty limited.
Loud.
You're pretty limited on what you can do, but luckily we've got tank brackets pre-made, a lot of them.
Yep.
So we can sell them all the way up until, right when you want to plant. We've got the tanks, we've got the brackets, so we're pretty good there. Triple threats have been hot.
Yeah, those things have been on fire here recently. I would actually be curious to know how many we sold in the month of January, because I bet it's close to over 200 rows.
Yeah.
I bet it's close to that.
Yeah, those are huge product. I mean, they just what they can offer as an addition to any applicator to put your nitrogen in different zones. That's a big deal.
Gives you another weapon.
Yeah, and I think granted nitrogen prices are down overall right now compared to 2022.
Yeah, and speaking of that, tanks. I didn't even think about tanks. Tanks have been hot here recently as well.
Yes.
I know your dad sold 3 of them yesterday, and I talked to a gentleman about possibly buying 4.
Yeah. I sold a 3,000 today.
So. Yeah. I mean, it's just very variant as far as what guys are after. But, I don't think a lot of us seen the Liquid 28 coming down as far as price. I don't think anybody would have predicted that, especially with what corn prices still are today.
I know. I saw a meme earlier today, and it was as of a guy, like you could just read his lips. He was saying "shoot," and the guy.
But that's not what he said.
The caption said, "When you book fertilizer in August and see the prices today."
Yeah, for sure,
But hey, historically, you prepay fertilizer and it typically pays off. But
well, I was at a guy's farm here locally, and he goes, all my tanks are full right now at about 510, and I could be getting it for 340 today, and I'm like,
yeah.
You want another tank? We can fill it up if you want.
Right. Lower that average a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah. But, yeah, things have been hot. Let's talk about our shop, and now we're moved into the big shop, and how, like we loaded that big 20-ton Magna.
Yeah.
And how efficient that has made us.
Yeah. Loaded and unloaded it.
Right.
I mean, it is. night and day. We got that big overhead crane in there. We just hoisted her right up, and the semi driver just pulled right out, and it was, oh man, just with that shop, we're just 10 times more efficient than what we ever could be down there at the old location. Well, I shouldn't say old location, just the family farm.
Right.
Is what I should say. But,
so our goal is we're going to have like 35 or 36 foot garage doors on each end. And we want to be able to pull a semi in there easily to load and unload with the crane.
Yeah, it's February. I wonder if we're going to be seeing those anytime soon.
Oh, shoot. In the garage door world, when they say February, you need to make sure they're talking of the current year. You know?
Yeah, they might as well be saying it's going to be June.
Yeah, it's sad. But someday we're going to get larger garage doors because they're only like 16 right now.
Yeah.
And we're going to be able to pull a semi in there, and we want to do a lot of loading and unloading with the crane because we used to unload these and load these BBIs with a forklift. You'd get under them, you'd lift them up, and you'd have a forklift on each side typically, and they'd sit there and teeter-totter in the wind, and the driver would pull out from under them, and luckily, knock on wood, somehow we haven't dropped any yet.
Yeah, no kidding.
Whereas now, Sam made us a jig to put in the BBI spreaders, and we can lift those spreaders up with the jig and just real gently place anything down on a trailer.
Yeah, Kyle, our engineer, hit somebody up at BBI and was like, "Hey, how do you guys load these things?" And they sent us some pictures of how they load them and unload them, and we're like, "Well, heck, we got an overhead crane now. Let's make one." You know? So yeah, it's that will definitely be something that will be really, really sweet. And here last week, just being on the topic of the crane, I sent an ST10 out to a gentleman out in New York with a toolbar and some Nutrient Pros.
Yep.
And
from Yetter.
Yeah, and those things. I mean, I can't imagine loading that thing without that. I mean, we'd have been out there with 2 forklifts, and we would have had to guide the semi back underneath it. And
right.
It would have been it would have taken a heck of a lot longer than what it did.
Right. Not only that, we've got a larger plasma table now. We're just really getting that shop to really flow. And we've been able just to knock out some projects that used to take us weeks or even multiple days now into just a day or a half a day.
Yeah.
I mean, not only that, but our shop before, you could work on about one project at a time.
Yeah.
And right now, there's probably 3 or 4 projects going on at any given minute.
Yep.
In that shop.
Between working on wine drop toolbars to working on a J&M applicator. I think Brent's in there building a strip freshener bar right now.
Right.
You know, the sky's kind of the limit in there.
Yeah. I think we sold more J&Ms than ever. We sold more wide drop toolbars than ever. But I think we're going to be able to get all the work done in about a third of the time.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So I don't know. If you would have had to build a shop like that, I think it's easy to cut corners when you build a shop. So I'm glad the opportunity happened the way it did, to where we could buy a turnkey shop instead of have to build one.
Yeah.
Because when you build one, it's like, do we need heated floors?
Right.
Do we need a 10-ton overhead crane?
Yep.
You probably would have said no to some of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now we've got it, and it's like, man, there's no way.
It's already built and it's done, and you're like, man, I can't believe we have this now. It's just unreal.
Yeah. Now we've got a sweeper, self-propelled sweeper.
Yeah.
And a self-propelled scrubber.
If you follow me on TikTok, you've seen Sam taking that around the track a little bit.
Yeah, and luckily it still runs. But I ran the scrubber. Well, I swept and scrubbed. I think it was Sunday morning, and I was able to scrub the whole shop on 1 tank of water, which is I think like 20 gallon. That floor was shining when I was done. It was crazy. Of course, you can't tell it now, but I think if we sweep and scrub it about once a week, we sweep after every time we get a project in and out.
Right.
But we scrub. If we scrub about once a week, I think it'll keep it pretty dang shiny.
Yeah, and the only way that I heard that you scrubbed the floor was because you left water in it. Your dad told me about it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he had to clean it out.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know where to dump it. You can't get that dang thing off the concrete.
Yeah. Yeah.
I told him I didn't know where to dump it. So.
Yeah. No, he was like, "Yep, I'm just cleaning up Adam's mess." It's
Right.
Like we're like I'm rewinding about 15 years, have to pick up after my son again.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have to clean up his mess because he wouldn't jump on the scrubber. He don't know how to run it. So I had to do it. And then I got it full of junk water, and there's no drain in there.
Yeah.
Which
Yep.
that's
that
one
is
thing.
Probably the only negative about that shop.
And it was icy and snowy at the time. I was like, man, I backed this thing out here. I'm by myself on a Sunday morning. I want to get this dang thing stuck.
Right.
And so I was like, well, I left it in there, and I talked to him and said, where are we going to dump that? He's like, that's a great question. I don't know. And we ended up just opening up the garage door and backing it up. But
yeah,
we won't be able to dump it there forever because it kind of leaves a pile of mess. So we need to find
what are we creeping up on here?
About an hour.
About an hour?
Yep.
Got to.
Yep. You got a hot date?
I got a date with a bowling ball.
Oh yeah, it is 5:30.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cody's a bowler, subpar, and
whatever.
Someday we need to do a YouTube video on Cody versus Adam bowling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. You sure you want to embarrass yourself?
Oh,
that bad?
dude, I could.
No.
I still got it.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cody's bowled a 300 before,
Well,
right?
3 of them.
Yeah, I bowled a 300 one time. Yep. Took me 3 games.
On Wii Bowling?
Took me 3 games. I got 100 each time.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, but.
No, that's probably enough for today. This podcast is going to upload tomorrow morning in the email blast, and stay tuned for multiple more coming from the Louisville Farm Show. We plan on recording several down there. So
Absolutely.
we hope everyone enjoys the podcast. We're going to keep it rolling. We always have stuff to talk about, and hopefully we're going to do some coyote hunting between now and the next one.
Oh, yeah.
If you're wanting to coyote hunt and you're a hunter at all, reach out to us. I would be happy to help and talk to anyone who has dreamed of killing a coyote. Not that we know what we're doing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we do. But
we might have gotten lucky twice.
But I would throw some things that I've already learned your way and help you out. So
for sure.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yep. Thanks, guys.